explanations, and we are told that in the long run, all will be good. Taking it for granted that this is possible, why should there be this diabolical way of doing good? Why cannot good be done through good instead of through these diabolical methods? The descendants of the human beings of today will be happy, but why must there be all this suffering now? There is no solution, and this is Maya.
Yeah. See, there is no solution. In this world, you cannot find solution. It will always slip between your fingers, as if you caught it, but you cannot. See, like various theories of atoms, atomic theory. So people every time give new theories, and gradually it looks it is progressing, but ultimately it is just disappearing. Now, atomic theory is more a philosophy than a theory or any practical thing. So even the other day they found a new particle. So every day new particles, I mean, not every day. Sometimes they find new particles and new theories. But ultimately, you cannot find solution outside. When you find solution within, then everything is solved. Discovering oneself is more and most important. If you can discover yourself, then the whole thing is transfigured. Then there are no two. Yes.
Again, we often hear that as one of the features of evolution, that it eliminates evil. And this evil being continually eliminated from the world, at last only good will remain. That is very nice to hear, and it panders to the vanity of those who have enough of this world's goods, who have not a hard struggle to face every day, and are not being crushed under the wheel of this so-called evolution. It is very good and comforting indeed to such fortunate ones. The common herd,
like I give an example, like sugar is harmful for health. So they found sugar substitute. Now World Health Organization comes and says, oh, ultimately that's also not good, because that will create type 2 diabetes and some other problems. So apparently it is sugar coated, but it's not sugar. So the thing is, you cannot find a solution outside. It is just not possible. Outside what is there? As Sri Ramakrishna says, even science, what is science? If you add this will happen. If you deduct this will happen. And Sri Ramakrishna could not put his mind through the microscope. A microscope was brought in front of him, and somebody told that if you look through this, even a hair can be as big, as a hair can be seen as big as finger. But he could not see through the microscope. What is the point? Point is, his mind is totally absorbed with him, and he could not bring his mind out. M wanted to show the eclipse through figure, etc., and how ebb tide happens because of the gravitation of moon and sun. But as soon as M started showing, Sri Ramakrishna said, my mind is getting dizzier. So, because he could not put his mind outside. Does it mean he sees only one? Sometimes he would not count even. He's not able to count when it's in samadhi. He said, okay, let me repeat the mantra, Maha Mantra. And sometimes he could not do. And sometimes he said, yes, now I can do. So mind is totally absorbed with him. This state we cannot explain, because we are creature of this world, as it were. Why said actually we are not, but seems. So, so we think, oh, Sri Ramakrishna could not count. Oh, illiterate. Not like that. Mind is so absorbed. There is no two there. So this is a completely different thing. Anyway, we go ahead. Yes.
The common herd may suffer, but they do not care. Let them die. They are of no consequence. Very good, yet this argument is fallacious from beginning to end. It takes for granted, in the first place, that manifested good and evil in this world are two absolute realities. In the second place, it makes a still worse assumption that the amount of good is an increasing quantity and the amount of evil is a decreasing quantity. So if the evil is being eliminated in this way by what they call evolution, there will come a time when all this evil will be eliminated and what remains will be all good. Very easy to say, but can it be proved that evil is a lessening quality? Take, for instance, the man who lives in a forest, who does not know how to cultivate the mind, cannot read a book, and has not heard of such a thing as writing. If he is severely wounded, he is soon all right again, while we die if we get a scratch. Machines are making things cheap, making for progress in evolution, but millions are crushed, that one may become rich. While one becomes rich, thousands at the same time become poorer and poorer, and whole masses of human beings are made slaves. That way it is going on. The animal man lives in the senses. If he does not get enough to eat, he is miserable. Or if something happens to his body, he is miserable. In the senses, both his misery and his happiness begin and end. As soon as this man progresses, as soon as his horizon of happiness increases, his horizon of unhappiness increases proportionately. The man in the forest does not know what it is to be jealous, to be in the law courts, to pay taxes, to be blamed by society, to be ruled over day and night by the most tremendous tyranny that human diabolism ever invented, which pries into the secrets of every human heart.
So like insurance, the fear of insurance and so many other things. Now new things are coming, AI, artificial intelligence, and lots of people will lose work. Of course, some convenience will be there. But this is, if you drive a rheumatism from one place, it will go to another place. So this problem will remain. As Swamiji gives an example of savage or say man who is dwelling in the forest. There we don't find jealousy. There we do not find hatred. So live together. Even in South Africa, they are Ubuntu. So whatever comes, they share with each other. Here we want to hoard. Whatever comes to us, we want to hoard. We don't want to share. So this is the difference. Yes.
He does not know how man becomes 1,000 times more diabolical than any other animal, with all his vain knowledge and with all his pride. Thus it is that as we emerge out of the senses, we develop higher powers of enjoyment, and at the same time, we have to develop higher powers of suffering too. The nerves become finer and capable of more suffering. In every society, we often find that the ignorant common man, when abused, does not feel much, but he feels a good thrashing. But the gentleman cannot bear a single word of abuse. He has become so finely nerved. Misery has increased with his susceptibility to happiness. This does not go much to prove the evolutionist's case. As we increase our power to be happy, we also increase our power to suffer. And sometimes I'm inclined to think that if we increase our power to be happy in arithmetical progression, we shall increase, on the other hand, our power to become miserable in geometrical progression. We who are progressing know that the more we progress, the more avenues are open to pain as well as pleasure. And this is Maya.
So what is the Maya? That, as Swamiji gave another year. Ever running, never reaching, nor even distant a glimpse of shore. So we are running. But we cannot have that shore if we keep on running like this. Okay. Swamiji gave another example. That's a story of Narada and Sri Krishna. So Narada once said, "Sir, what is this Maya? Can you show me?" I said, "Okay, let us see." So Sri Krishna, Lord, and Narada was walking, and uh, after certain distance, then Sri Krishna said, "I'm thirsty. Can you bring a glass of water for me?" "Oh yes, I'm just bringing." And he went to a house and knocked, and a beautiful damsel opened the door, and Narada got attracted, and he married there, had children, and inherited the property of that person. And then one after another got many children. And then what happened one day, a flood came and everybody was drowned. He tried to save his children, but all were taken away by the stream. His wife also was taken away. And Narada was like, he was swimming. And then Sri Krishna comes and taps. "Narada, what happened? Why are you as if swimming in sand? What happened to you? And where is my water?" "Water?" So, and quite half an hour ago you went and you did not find water. Half an hour? I experienced 12 years. So similarly, we are also experiencing this. And here, it is all the time trailing away. Though we try, okay, after this, everything will be solved. But then we find some other problems. So this goes on. And we also, like Narada, we are swimming to salvage things. But that does not happen. Anyway, that's the story of Maya. Yama, what appears, but actually it is not. We have to try to find out the real thing, the Jing thing. And fortunately, this disciple has found that. So let us go there. We have completed 525, but here let us start from there, because some instructions are given, but these instructions are after realization, and we have not realized. So therefore, we have to read it from that standpoint. At least we should know what happened. So akhanda bodhatmani nirvikalpe vikalpanam bomni purokalpanam tadvat advyananda mayatmana sada shantim parametya bhajasya maunam. That means, let me read the translation because that will be easier. Dualistic conceptions in the Atman, the infinite knowledge, the absolute, are like imagining castles in the air. So we see dualistic, but that is imagining castles. We see a dream, we imagine. See, we are now in Jnana Yoga class. So we'll talk this. Otherwise, we cannot justify this. So, and it is not for justification, it is for stating what is true. So, dualistic conceptions in the Atman. So, Atman alone abide, self alone is. See, you are present and world looks real. But as soon as you go to sleep, this world disappears. And then your dream looks real. But then you are you go to dreamless sleep, dream also disappears. So this is, when we are awake, we cannot deny. But we want to get rid of this experience when we go to sleep. If we have all the calculations that we do in our waking time, then we cannot sleep. How many money I have in the bank, what are the properties, and who said what, then we cannot sleep. So we want to get rid of that. And when we are sleeping, we are dreaming, we are happy. But again, that disappears. And we go to a state called dreamless state. So that means this seeming world comes and goes away. Dreaming world comes and goes away. But you are always there. No point in time that you disappear. So the dualistic conceptions in the Atman, the infinite knowledge. Atman is infinite knowledge. So their dualistic conception is like the absolute, are like imagining castles in the air. Therefore, always identifying thyself with the bliss absolute, the one without a second, and thereby attaining supreme peace, remain quiet. Now here it is not instruction that you be quiet. A person becomes quiet already. Buddha, enlightened, he was walking. People said, please don't go, sir, that way. Angulimal resides there. He'll kill you. Say, don't worry. He cannot kill me. And when Angulimal appeared before him, he made him afraid, but Buddha was not. And he asked, are you not afraid? Everybody is afraid of me. No. He said, no. And then I can kill you. Okay, kill me. But ultimately, Angulimal surrendered to Buddha and prostrated in front of him. So, what is the point? Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairtyaga. He who looks only one, manyness disappears from him. And when a person is practicing ahimsa, then if someone comes in front of him with intention to harm him, that also goes away. That's why even ferocious animals also become calm and quiet. Snakes become calm and quiet. For him, there are not many. So here, what he's saying, we remain quiet means when there is nothing to, there is no multiplicity, naturally it will be quiet. So it is not that a instruction is given. This is to show the absence of multiplicity. We go to the next. Tushnim avastha paramo upashantir buddhe sat sankalpa vikalpa hetoho brahmatmana brahmavido mahatmano yatra advayananda sukham nirantaram. So when you are quiet, then means what? So, translation. To the sage who has realized Brahman, the mind which is the cause of unreal fancies. Generally what happens? Generally our world is in our mind. Whatever I want to say, I want to see, that we always calculate within our minds. And like sometimes we also fight with people within. Oh, he said this. Why he said this? And what can I tell? all kinds of things happen. But a person who has realized, for him there are no fancies like this, mental fancies. To the sage who has realized Brahman, the mind which is cause of unreal fancies becomes perfectly tranquil. Why becomes perfectly tranquil? Because he has removed his dirt from his mind. There are three kinds of things. Chitta mala. We have dirt in our minds. Then chitta vikshepa. That means our mind is always vacillating, always in the move, but he has quietened his mind. Mind is one pointed. So for him, there is no dirt in the mind. Dirt means desires, hatred, jealousy, all kinds of mental, mental propensities. So he has removed those. His mind is calm and quiet. Only one, his self reveals himself. So for him, there is no unreal fancies, becomes perfectly tranquil. This verily is his state of quietude, in which identified the Brahman, he has constant enjoyment of the bliss, absolute, the one without a second. So he remains there. Whenever you have problem, you can see your mind is running riots. It is our mind which make a hell of heaven or heaven of hell. It is mind. Even the realized soul, wherever they are, in every situation they are fine. But not realized soul, those who have not realized, wherever they are not, they will be not satisfied. Always some problem will be there. If there is no problem, he'll invent some problem. So tushnim avastha means like quietude. Paramopashanti buddhe sankalpa vikalpa hetu. Because of sankalpa vikalpa, what we do, we catch something and leave and find something else. Like it is like this. Oh, I went to shopping mall. I found a beautiful piece of jewelry. Jewelry is good, but where to get money? Oh, I'll have to take some loan. And how to get loan? Okay, I have to get certificate. Oh, I have to go to the office. So you see, one after another, just a series of thoughts that goes on and on in our minds. But what happens? This is called sankalpa vikalpa. So it is because of sankalpa vikalpa, so that has quietened. Therefore, the realized soul experiences quietude. Brahmatmana Brahmavido Mahatmanaha. So the knower of Brahman, he attains Brahman, he becomes Brahman. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. Mahatmanaha Yatra Advyananda Sukham Nirantaram. Where there is infinite bliss, it is shining all the time. Advaya Ananda Sukham Nirantaram. Nirantaram is always. There is no gap. There is no break in between. We go to the next. These are experiences. So until unless we experience, how can we know? Okay, we can understand through our deep sleep. There is no miserable situation in our deep sleep. And we are very happy there. But the problem is we are in ignorance. Whereas the realized soul is wide awake. Joge, jage, jege achi. That means in yoga, And in all situations, I am wide awake. So that is as Sri Ramakrishna. Hardly he would sleep. Even sometimes he would feign sleeping. So this is the state where man is wide awake. That just remember that Yanisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Sangyami. So they are Sangyami, that who has tamed himself. So he is wide awake in that situation. So anyway, we go to the next. Nasti Nirvasanan Maunat Param Sukham Sukhakrit Uttamam Vijnatatma Swarupasya Swananda Rasa Painaha. First translation. Nasti means there is nothing. To the man who has realized his own nature and drinks the undiluted bliss of the self, there is nothing more exhilarating than the quietude that comes of a state of desirelessness. So we can experience this. In your deep sleep, you have no desire. That's why that's a beautiful state. Only we don't know. That is the problem. And if we can curtail our desires, that we can do, we can experience. Reduce, or just or say a few days, or maybe one day, as Ramakrishna says, if possible, one day, try one day. Okay, today I'll just chant the name of God and will not desire anything. And see how beautiful the day is. So Nasti Nirvasanam Monat Param. Now one thing, we have that one is established in the self. So in Mundaka Upanishad we find Pranohi Eshaha Yaha Sarva Bhuter Vibhati Vijanan. So he who realizes the self in all being, Yaha Sarva Bhuter Vibhati Vijanan Vidwan Bhavate Nativadin. So he will not be Ativadi. So what will happen? Atma Krida Atma Rati Kriyavan Esha Brahma Vidam Varishtaha. So Atmarati. Atmarati means there are no two. So he will enjoy his own self. And he will be engrossed within himself, like Buddha meditating, like Vivekananda meditating, like Sri Ramakrishna meditating, totally absorbed. Kale Baddha Vartaman. The present time becomes stable, no movement. There is no movement in time, no movement in anything, causation, time, space, and causation. These are our imagination. So that stops totally. So Nasti Nirvasanad Monat Param Sukham Sukhakrit Uttamam. There is nothing, there is no parallel or equivalent of desirelessness. The joy that one gets with desirelessness is unparalleled. There is no similar joy. Vijnatatma Swarupasya Swananda Rasapaina. And by knowing one's own real self, one who is drinking deep the joy of oneself, there is no parallel joy like that. Like singing, they say Brahmananda Sahodara. When you sing, your mind is absorbed in it. And gradually, singing goes like floating, like The surfer surfs easily through tube. So there is no extra effort there. And he walks as it were on the ground. So similarly, when a person is in that flow, so there is no effort left. Similar, there is some effort there, but here there is no extra effort. So in that state, what happens? The Swananda, the self-joy, enjoyer of the self-joy, knowing one's own real self, there is no parallel of it. To the man who has realized his own nature and drinks the undiluted bliss of the self, there is nothing more exhilarating, nothing more blissful than the quietude that comes of a state of desirelessness. So this we have to listen over and over again, and then we have to get inspired by this, and we have to try this. There is no joy outside. There is no joy in limited things. Nalpe sukham asti, bhumaiva sukham. You try. You can spend the life and many lives. There is no joy outside, only joy within. Even you cannot enjoy when you are eating if you don't put your attention there. When you put your attention, then only you can enjoy. Otherwise, you just gobble. So, source of joy is within. We are to find it. We are to get it. So the man who has realized his own nature, own self, and drinks the undiluted bliss of the self, there is nothing more exhilarating, nothing more blissful than the quietude that comes of the state of desirelessness. So I was talking about singing. They say Brahmananda Sahodara. Maybe a state will come there. Maybe it is somewhat closer, but still some effort is there. Whereas a person who is meditating, totally absorbed, Sri Ramakrishna would say, when I come out and I say Om, I have descended 100 cubits. Just imagine, when he uttering Om, he has descended 100 cubits. Just imagine what is that state. So we go to the next. Gachan Tishtan Upavishyan Shayano Va Anyathavaphi Va Yathichaya Vasit Vidwan Atma Ramaha Sada Muni. So wherever he wants, he can go roam about, because he has realized for him there is no limitation. Nistraigunya Pathi Vicharantaha Ko Vidhi Ko Nishedha. Those who travel in the sphere of Nistraiguna, there is no limit of Triguna. Like Sri Ramakrishna gave example, there are three gunas, they are like robbers. They are also within Maya. They are like robbers. They cannot go to the locality, because then police will arrest. So that's why Sri Krishna also said, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhava. Oh Arjuna, go beyond three gunas. Because whatever you see, even Vedas are also Trigunatmika. Go beyond Triguna. So here a person has gone. So there is no limitation. He is perfected soul. For him there is no rules. Whatever way he likes. That's why Sri Ramakrishna sometimes naked and sometimes singing, dancing. And that also gives joy to others. So Gachanti Tishtan. Look, let me translate. The illuminated says, whose only pleasure is in the self, ever lives at ease, whether going or staying, sitting or lying, or in any other condition. And secondly, in fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we find Naiva kinchit karomiti yukta manneta tattvavit. Knower of self knows that I do not do anything. Though things happen, gachan ashnan achan Naiva kinchit karomiti yukta manneta tattvavit. Gachan ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrijan unmishan nimishan napi. So everything happens, but he is not doing. Then who is doing? Things are happening. Those who know music, what they do? They play on instrument, and without their knowledge, they are playing. Let's cycle. When you start in the beginning, you have to put your attention. Then when you have perfected, then no need of putting your attention. Don't worry. Keep there. So, when you are starting something, you have to put your attention. And then the system takes over. When you go to somewhere by air, what happens? You have to go from your place to the airport. And once you submit yourself, then there is no work. And then whatever you are doing, just you can enjoy. That's why there is another Atma Ramascha Munayaha Nirgranti Apyarukrame. Atmaram, Muni, the Mananashilas, those who are Atmaram, who enjoy in the self, what they do? Kurvanti Ahaitukim Bhakti. Ityambuto Gunohari. So they how to live. So they chant the name of God and do devotion. Because that is what he is. He sings his own glory. So anyway, for him there is no rules. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukta manneta tattvavit pashan gachan ashnan sapan shwasan pralapan visrijan unmishan nimishan mati. So everything happens. It happens in the nature. It happens like on the screen, say computer screen or movie screen. Say there is fire. But the movie screen or computer screen not worried because there is no fire there. We are, oh, it is fire. We are also not worried because there is no fire. The illumination is there or imitation is there. Anyway, so we go to the next. Nadesha Kalasana Dik Adi Digmat Dik Yamadi Lakshadya Apeksha Apratibadha Brite Samsiddha Tattvasya Mahatmanosti Swavedane Ka Niyamadyavastha. So whatever happens, it happens because of that is inspiration. So they will say it is by the will of God. But the will of God, like in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you can find that somebody asks something. So Sri Ramakrishna would say, if mother wills, that will happen. And then the devotee knows, he said, it is, why not your will? It is you. Naren asked that my family is suffering, so you have to do something. He said, why should I go to shrine at the temple and ask for yourself? And he tried thrice, as we know. and he failed, then he came back. And then he said, it's all your trick, I know, but now you have to do something for me. And he did. So what I'm saying, the will of the person is totally merged in the will of God. So whatever happens, happens by his will or by the will of God. The same thing. And he is beyond the ordinary, say like rules and regulations. It is like this. When there is an ambulance, they can go by any way they like, left, right, or this way. Sometimes the red light, but they can go any way they like. Similarly, maybe the president. So some exceptions are there. So for him, for such a person, this is the exception. For them, there is no rule, because he has gone beyond the rule. It's time. Okay, we'll read this, the last one. Na desha kalat kala, देश काल आसन दिक यमादि लक्ष्यादि अपेक्षा प्रतिबद्ध वृत्ते संसिद्ध तत्वस्य महात्मनोस्ति स्वावेदने का नियमद्यपेक्षा. Because he knows he alone exists, so how can there be a rule for him? He has gone. Sri Ramakrishna would say, Naksha Khala means people are playing, say, Ludo, like. But he said, I played, and I burned all my numbers. So he gives a kind of a play. So he's out of game. So the person who is out of game, for him there is no rules. Say, even children, if some crime happened by the children below certain age, so it is called juvenile. They are not punishable because it is not intended. They are beyond that rule. So this is possible. For him, let me, Nadesha Kala, the noble soul who has perfectly realized the truth and whose mind functions meet with no obstruction, no more depends upon conditions of place, time, posture, direction, moral, discipline. So like Nanak Dev went to Middle East and his feet was towards Makkah. That Makkah, there is a shrine. So a Muslim came and said, why are you putting your feet towards God, Makkah? He said, I don't know, sir. Can you please put my feet where there is no God? So he said, okay. So he put his leg to the other side, and lo and behold, there was Makkah, the side. So he tried the other side. All sides. Then he realized for him there is no direction even, asana. So the noble soul who has perfectly realized the truth and whose mind functions meet with no obstruction, no more depends upon conditions of place, time, posture, direction, moral disciplines, objects of meditation, and so forth. What regulative conditions can there be in knowledge one's own self? There is no condition. Does it mean that he can do anything and everything, even immoral? No. Sri Ramakrishna said, if a person is perfected in dancing, whatever he does, all action is like dance form. So, a person who has perfected in music or song, he cannot sing in a out of tune. or out of time. He cannot, because his mind is such a in that tune. And in Panchadashi it said, Ko bhedo ashuchi bhakshani. If such is the case, then what is the difference between dog and a realized soul? No, they cannot do that. But there is no rule for them. Whatever way they like, they do. Okay, so we'll stop here. Is there any question? No question. Okay, we see our prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tatsat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Pranam Maharaj.
Namaskar.
Namaste, Swami.
Namaste. Hari Om.
Namaste.
Namaste ji. Janma, no question.
No, not this evening, Maharaj. Sorry.
Not
Consider yourself lucky.
okay. Okay.